Maverick. Noun, unusual person. A visionary, leader, go-getter, an independent thinker. They see the vision for their life and pull that future towards them with an unyielding belief that things can and must be better. They achieve what most won't. Innovative, influential, daring, and direct, with a remarkably high tolerance for taking calculated risk. A foe to the status quo. This is Passive Real Estate Investing with Mavericks. Your host, Neil Timmins, has been involved with over $300 million in real estate transactions. He's a published author, commercial property investor, and real estate syndicator. This show is for those who want to learn how to earn passive income through real estate investing. Now, here's your host, Neil Timmins.
On this episode of Passive Real Estate Investing with Mavericks, I sit down with Dr. Jeff Anzalone to uncover going from doctor to real estate investor.
Hey Mavericks, this is Ava Baukamp, and this episode of Passive Real Estate Investing with Mavericks is brought to you by Legacy Impact Investors. We are an industrial investment firm located in cash flow country, the Midwest. We strive to shield off risk and beat inflation, all while producing predictable cash flow. We curate real estate investment opportunities for busy professionals and other real estate investors seeking passive income. To learn more about what we do and connect with me, go to www.legacyimpactinvestors.com.
Welcome to Passive Real Estate Investing with Mavericks, where we provide you actionable steps for you to grow your passive income and become job optional. Today, you're going to get to discover going from doctor to passive real estate investor. Now, for those of you who are new, I'm your host, Neil Timmins. I love passive income from real estate. Now, before I introduce you to today's Maverick, I want to make a request that at any point during the show, you like what you hear, give us a thumbs up. And be certain to subscribe to the show. Never miss a valuable episode. And if you love what you hear, give us a written review. And be certain to look at the description of this episode. We packed it with thousands of dollars in free resources. Now, today we've got the privilege to learn from a person who's investing for nearly a decade and didn't start out so smoothly. And we'll get into that. Prior to his career in real estate, he was a doctor, still practices today. In fact, it ultimately all changed when he was in a skiing accident. Now, I would describe today's Maverick as someone who's passionate about helping doctors and high-income earners find passive income in real estate. Today's Maverick, Dr. Jeff Anzalone. Jeff, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm well, thanks. I'm excited you're here. See, for the audience's sake, who are you? Where are you from? What do you do?
I'm a periodontist by trade. That is, for those that don't know, more of a layman's term, mouth surgery. So we focus on dental implants, bone grafting, extractions, all the stuff that probably you don't want to happen in your mouth. We take care of that. I do that. And then I also educate other physicians, dentists, high income earners about the benefits of real estate investing, tax benefits, and really want to focus on passive income for them. And do that by a couple of means. I've got a blog and a YouTube channel. And where I'm from Louisiana.
Tell me about the very first commercial deal that you bought, that you were involved in.
Yeah. Actually, I got into real estate investing kind of by accident. I hurt my wrist snow skiing about 8 years ago, and that was my wake-up call. You'll see somebody you hadn't seen in a while, and they're like, "Man, you've lost a lot of weight. You know, what'd you do?" And it's always that, "Well, I had chest pain or I had a heart attack." You know, something that really wakes you up. So at the time, my kids were 7 and 9, and sole breadwinner, and I was out. That was my wake up call. That if I couldn't use my hands, what would I do? And it's kind of like, you never think about getting hurt or injured or sick until you're hurt or injured. Mm-hmm. And for me, I was like, you know what, this is a really risky way to operate. And, I had a little disability insurance policy, but, just not enough to really keep the lifestyle and things at that time were getting even more expensive. I hadn't even gotten into the kids' cars in college and all that stuff too. So anyway, I started when I got back from skiing, really started looking into what was out there. And after months and months of research, and I won't sit here and bore you with it, two things popped up from my research. Number one, and this was wealthy people. Just about all the wealthy people, 90+%, they had real estate in their portfolio. And at that time, I had zero, except my primary home. And then number two, wealthy people had all these other streams of income. They weren't like, if you went and, if you speak to wealthy people, they're not like, oh, I'm a dentist or I'm an attorney or I'm a whatever. It's I own businesses, I own companies, I own real estate. So it was just like, man, that's not even in my world. It's not even my radar. I was taught to, growing up, middle-class family, to really focus on, grades, get a good job. If you really want to make good money, Jeff, do something that's really specialized. So, but looking back on it, all the focus was on me. If you take me out of the picture, then there's nothing, there's no income coming in.
Right.
So, and we're never taught that. And so that was, and when I was going through all this, I was like, holy cow, I'm in bad shape. So I thought getting into real estate, I need to go out and buy some houses or, storage units or something like that, duplexes. And I've got some friends in my area that they manage their father's, there's only like 3 or 4 people in my area that they own 90% of the real estate around here. So started networking with them a little bit more. And I was dead set on going out and starting to buy a house and just, single family house, that sort of thing. And there's another dentist, well, he's retired, but he teaches real estate to other dentists. And I went to one of his courses in Dallas, thinking, hey, I'm going to teach you how to go out, find homes, get people in. And it was totally the opposite. It was all about the different ways to invest in real estate passively. I never heard about syndications. I never heard about all the other stuff that you could do. I liked it because the first thing that we did when we walked in, he had all these round tables set up, and they had this board game on every table. And it was the Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant game.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'd never played that before. So that was a great way to kind of break the ice and people start playing. So that was really cool to do that. So when I left the meeting, I was like, okay, well, the syndication sounds a lot better because I can still focus on being a periodontist, but then I can invest my money on the side to start getting in some passive income, because that's really what I was looking for, with the issue that I had.
Right.
So as you can imagine, the information online, there's just overwhelming. There's just
so much,
you start searching for it. And it's like, now with, back then it wasn't as big when I was looking for it, but now even more with social media, as soon as you type in something, they're going to start serving you ads. And so everything looks the same. It's like everything's a 2x return. Everything's the same preferred return. Everything's this and that. And it's like, how do you know? So unfortunately, I started off in the crowdfunding space. And I say unfortunately because that was where I lost a good bit of money. I started off with a couple of debt deals, just $1,000, $2,000. Patchofland.com was one of the websites. I don't even know if it's still around. Realty Shares, that's gone under. That was one. So the couple of debt deals, they weren't bad. So then I was like, hey, I'm going to get into this equity deal, $50,000 minimum, Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was an apartment, and all these pictures of what it looked like and what they were going to do to it. And this huge write-up is like, I'm, double my returns in 5 years. I'm in. So that was really nerve-wracking, but did it. And, they were supposed to do like quarterly updates and stuff. And like 8 months went by, and I emailed them and like didn't really hear from them. And then they started kind of sending out stuff. And the gist of it was they didn't disclose, supposedly, this was a very high crime area. And the general partners thought it was a good idea to buy an apartment complex in a high crime area with broken windows and, people shooting it. Again, I didn't know all this, thinking if I put in millions of dollars into it, hey, people are going to come back. Well, they did that. They put in all this money and they ran out of money and they left, and every investor lost their money. And the minimum was 50 grand. So that was my first take as a limited partner. But as you know, that mistakes and failures that we have, that's our best teacher. So I decided to keep going. I said, there's a lot of successful people out there, so somebody's doing it right. So I went to another meeting in Dallas, and I started actually meeting these. You can't meet these general partners on these websites. That's why I don't do that anymore.
Right.
Now I got to start meeting them face to face and getting to know them, and then meeting with other investors. Oh yeah, I use that guy. He's good communication, good return. So then started networking. And I did that for a while. And then I eventually, it took me about a year and a half after that failure to invest in an actual, syndication with a well-known syndicator. It was Ashcroft, Joe Fairless. It was a Dallas multifamily property. This was back maybe 2016-ish, 2017, something like that. And I remember back then it was paying monthly distributions, $50,000 minimum. I remember that first check I got was $333.33. And I was just like, this is so cool. Now, I've got something that I could just go pay a bill if I want to.
Right.
It took me about 4 months later to get into another one of his deals. And then from there, I'm blogging, everything that I'm learning, because there wasn't a lot of just unbiased information out there. So I was, if I was learning about, cap rate, I didn't know what cap rate was. So I would write an article. What is cap rate? Why is it important? Learn about, NOI or how to find deals or whatever. So I started just blogging and putting information out there, and then the rest is history.
What did it feel like to actually get that first check?
Well, because I'd had that failure and never heard from them, I was thinking, I went into it going, you know what? I've learned a lot. I've met enough people. Probably if this doesn't work, I'm going to move on to something else, because it was just almost like I'd done so much. Yep. And that's why I see a lot of times I'll see these people and I'll talk to them on the phone. They know so much. Some of them know more than me. And I'm like, well, dang, how many deals are you in? And they're like, none. They never take action. So I knew I was to the point now, kind of like when you get out of dental school, well, you can learn all the dentistry you want, but until you start, pulling teeth, you're not going to learn, and that's when the learning starts. So got back in, did it, and then was really glad I did.
Tell me about the most recent commercial deal that you did.
The most recent one is going to be an RV park that we got connected. And again, from networking, I can't stress how important it is to network. But I connected with a real estate attorney and another dentist who had been buying RV parks in the past, and they'd bought 2 and they were running 2. They didn't know much about RV parks. You ride down the road and you pass them all the time, and mobile home parks, and you're just like, oh, there's a bunch of RVs. But now you think it from a different perspective. Right. So I started looking at the numbers and stuff, and it was very, very lucrative what they were doing. They already had a track record. So they asked me to join in a deal with them. We did that. It's going great, but it's really, really early. I mean, that was only like 3 months ago that we closed on it, but that one was the most recent one. So now we actually have 2 more under contract. One's in Georgia and one's in Mississippi. The other one that I was telling you about is in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Okay.
I did some training there, so I knew, and this is how I operate now, is I get involved with the group first, because you're investing in people. That's the most important thing, that if I could tell your listeners. So I drove down there, and they wanted my opinion of it. So I looked at the park, and we had our due diligence, so we hadn't closed yet. So I drove through there, and what's interesting about RV parks is there's usually, if they're big enough, there's usually, you just think that there's somebody going in there for a night or two and that's it. But there's actually three types of people. One is a transient. Those are the people that are just a night or two and then they're gone. They have money, it's kind of like Airbnb. You're getting paid. They're prepaying your credit card. Two are the people that work in the area for several weeks or several months at a time. So there was like when you pull up to the front, usually that's the transient area. They're charged the most per night. Then you've got the workers that charge a little bit less. And then in the back of the property were the people that actually live there full time. And I didn't even know this stuff existed. So I drove through all the park and, all the way in the back, people have their gardens and lawn chairs, right, and, stuff. So they almost look like a mobile home. So I'm really glad I went down there because they were talking about buying 4 or 5 acres adjacent to it. And they were just they said, well, Jeff, why don't you look at that property and just kind of think, what can we do with it? I was like, yeah, sure. So I looked at it. And so as I was leaving, it's right on I-10. And I came out and I started going back because I wanted to drive down I-10 and look over to kind of where it was. And I noticed there was a sports complex that you have to go past this RV park to get to. So we contacted the sports complex and we said, do y'all have tournaments, baseball tournaments and pickleball tournaments and softball tournaments? And they're like, yeah, we have that all the time. I said, well, do you send out to the people that are going like accommodations list, restaurants? They're like, yeah, okay. So, okay, well, and we didn't say that we were buying this RV park. They said, well, what about the RV park down the street? Do you ever recommend people that, have RVs? They said, yeah, we have a list of people that have, they're like, hey, if you want to stay in a hotel, here's 3 or 4. If you want to stay in an RV park, here's 3 or 4. But they said, yeah, that park is on our list, but the problem is they're always occupied. There's never a spot. And I was like, well, now I know what we're going to do with that 5 acres. So we're in the process of buying that putting about 15 to 20 more pads on there. So little stuff like that being involved is what's really cool about, working with these groups.
Tell me, between, let's go from the most recent story today to 7, 8, 9 years ago, there's an enormous gap. Give me the highlights. What are the biggest things you learned from the very first challenge to obviously the next deal, having success, getting that first check, to your ability to connect with people today and that has ultimately completely changed the course of your life and what you do to help serve other folks?
Yeah, I would say, and I just mentioned it, the most important thing to look at, because all the deals are going to look similar, is the people. Invest in people, find people, network with other people, ask them who they're investing with, what's their track record. If you just talk to these sponsors, if you meet them, ask for contact information of some of their investors. If they're reluctant to give them to you, then I probably would move on. So that would be the most important thing, would be you're investing in people, because really, I mean, there's a great deal out there. It's almost like if back when Tom Brady had the Patriots and they was just like winning a Super Bowl every year, you probably could have dropped me in there as a head coach and there was enough coaching staff support around me. I could have probably gone pretty far in the playoffs. And I don't know anything about coaching football, even though my kids play.
Right.
So a really, really bad coach could have taken a good team to the Super Bowl, just like a really, really bad general partnership group can, take anybody can do a good deal. But you know what they can do? A really good group can take a bad deal and make it good. So that's why I really stress, doing that, really focused on finding the people to invest with. Another thing that I would say would be have some clear goals to guide you. Most of the people that come through my group, my investing group, they're very vague. Yeah, I want some passive income. And if you just say that, or if you say, yeah, I just want to lose some weight, well, guess what? You're never going to start eating right. You're never going to go to the gym. And I mean, it's got to be very clear. I want $3,000 a month in passive income coming in by a year and a half. I mean, it's got to be like, and then that way you can work backwards and figure out how much you're going to need to invest by what time frame, that sort of thing. So getting really, really clear where you want to go. And then continue, as you're doing that, continue to learn, network, go online. Everything I've learned is pretty much been free online.
Wow. Today, we're in a changing economic environment. It's ever morphing. It's fair to say. What's your position on borrowing when you're looking at deals and we're looking at a structure and investing with people? How much time are you spending evaluating the debt that they're putting on a deal? It seems like the debt has become much more prevalent and relevant conversation given the changing interest rate environment which we're living through.
That's a good question, and I'm seeing more and more deals fall through that. I mean, you probably have too. Who would ever have thought that we would have, had times like that to where interest rates were like 2 or 3%, and then this pandemic hits, and then interest rates now are over, 7-8%. And sometimes people don't really understand that. And I say, well, think about the house that you're living in right now. Mm-hmm. Let's say your mortgage is $3,000 a month. Well, what if the bank calls you tomorrow and says, well, you can stay in your house, but your mortgage is now $10,000 a month. And that's basically what's happening. They have these people that they're operating their apartment or whatever, and everything's hunky dory, and all of this stuff gets increased, jacked up. Well, they can't pay the bills. So right. Now they're having to sell. And, so I really like to look at, and I'm not an expert at this, but I like to look at it. So for instance, these RV parks, most of these are a 4 to 5 year hold. So anything that has like a 4 or 5 or 6 year hold, I want to make sure the debt is more than that. So a lot of these, the debt's locked in at 10 years. It's fixed. So even if they can't sell it 5 years or 6 years, well, it's still like that. Do they have like cap, the insurance, the cap insurance to where, they can't just jack up rates and, that sort of thing. And there's like a limit that they could do. So there's little nuances like that. And if you're not really sure about all of that, then get somebody that can advise you, or a really good source is ChatGPT. I mean, you can pretty much ask it any question and it gives you pretty accurate advice.
Tell me, what are you most excited about this year?
I'm really excited that we have gotten, because the multifamily has slowed up a good bit, but we still have people coming to us wanting to invest money that have been able to find other asset classes like the mobile home parks and RV parks to offer them. As we're going to see the rates go down, we're going to see more of the deals picking back up with multifamily. So everything is in cycles.
Let's do this. I want to move on to the final segment, what I call the final four. What do you think holds most passive investors back from hitting their personal next level, whatever that happens to be?
Would go back to having specific goals, guiding them where they should be going.
What are you most passionate about outside of real estate?
I would say doing things, experiences with family, kids, the wife, having those experiences before they move out.
Your favorite book?
Bible.
Your favorite way to make an impact in the community?
Being a educator, anybody that I see, if they have something that I think that I can provide them value, either give them that information or give them a connection that can help them with that.
Jeff, this has been an amazing conversation. You've got a tremendous personal story. Having that wake up call to go, you know what? If I can't do what I'm doing, using my hands to earn an income, what am I going to do? And going down that path and, failing forward, if you will, having a setback from the get-go and then moving forward and having tremendous success, learning through all the unique challenges that everybody experiences sooner or later. for people who want to find you, they want to follow you, they want to connect with you, they want to learn, they want your YouTube channel, what should they do? Where should they go?
Yeah, it's simple. They can go to debtfreedoctor.com, and that's my blog. And then actually the YouTube channel to subscribe is on that link is on that blog as well.
Perfect. We'll get that link below in the show notes for everybody. Jeff, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
My pleasure, Neil.
See you soon. To our listeners, pat yourself on the back. You guys have made it to the end of the show, and most people never finish what they start. If you receive value from today's show, be sure to share it on LinkedIn, your Facebook page, or your social media platform of choice. Subscribe to never miss a valuable episode in the future. And if you found value in today's episode, give us a thumbs up with a positive review. If there's a particular topic you'd like to hear about, well, I want to hear from you. Shoot me a message on LinkedIn. The link to my profile is below in the show notes. You can connect with me there for more valuable content.